to my podcast, Silencing Together podcast. For anyone that doesn't know me, I am the founder of You're Not Alone, and of course, the podcast that you're listening to today, Breaking the Silence Together podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about a topic that I believe a lot of us can resonate with, and really say, yeah, is it really a burnout, or is it just a bad day? So today our topic is on trying to be able to realize versus are we having a burnout? Is it really a burnout that we're feeling, or is it just a bad day? And I know a lot of us are probably saying, well, aren't they almost the same thing? But they're not. And that's why I wanted to bring this up, because I've had multiple conversations with individuals, and they're like, well, I always thought if I felt that way, it was just that I was tired, like having a bad day. I just thought that bad days and being burnt out would be the same thing, but actually it isn't, because there's two different scenarios. There's two different ways that our body and our nervous system reacts to each one. Is a different way. We might not realize it, but our body does react differently, and our brain reacts differently to both of them. And if you're listening to me and you feel as though like, okay, yeah, I think I need to listen to this because I do be feeling some type of way. I don't know what it is, but something is really making me feel off. This episode is definitely for you, because I know you're not the only one. I've had this come up multiple times with various people. Like they never really knew how to differentiate either one of them from either one of them, if you can understand what I'm saying. So what exactly is a bad day? Let's start out with that. Normally a bad day would be, you wake up, you just feel sluggish, you just don't feel as though you have any energy at that moment. And most of the time a bad day, remember, a bad day is just a short term. It's just a feeling that you're going to have short term, because normally if it's a bad day and you just feel like kind of foggy, or you just don't feel as though like you're being motivated, or you just really don't feel like doing much, or you just already getting bad news, whatever it is, most of the time a bad day, when we consider a bad day, is something that's going to be short term. It'll be fixed with maybe some caffeine, coffee, soda, drinking hydrating ourselves, or just going back and laying down for a little bit longer, something like that. And when you wake up or you come back after you drink that, see how you feel after you drink some caffeine, or after you drink some water, or you get a rest. If you feel better after you do either of those things, excuse me, then definitely it was a bad day. It was short term. It was a bad day. Because a burnout, your body is going to react totally different to that. With a burnout, you're not going to be able to fix that with just caffeine. You're not going to be able to fix that with an extra 30 minutes of sleep. You're not going to be able to fix that with trying to go outside and take a quick walk. A burnout usually is going to hit us emotionally and physically. And the emotional part is you're going to be emotionally exhausted. Like, you're going to be exhausted emotionally. You might cry for any little thing. Any little thing might bother you. You're very short-tempered about any little thing. Fatigue. You might be feeling fatigued. Your ankles might be swollen. Your hands might be swollen a little bit, because that's your body reacting to this. Your body is getting fatigued. You're not letting out your fluids fast enough, because your body's just falling into this burnout. No motivation. Even doing small talks or trying to do something, you're just not with it anymore. You don't want to do it. You don't want to get involved in a lot of things that you were before, or something that usually was something that you would do every day, or something that you would normally do. You no longer have any interest for. You're just so exhausted, so tired all the time. That's a burnout. That can't be fixed with caffeine or sleep. So those are the two differences. The way that a bad day affects you, like I said, that can be fixed if you drink some coffee, fluids, you get sleep, and you wake up or you come back after you drink, then you feel better. It definitely was just a bad day. If you try all that and you still feeling exhausted, you're still feeling tired, you're still feeling fatigued, and just your emotions are all over the place, and you can't grab them in even after you do all that, it's definitely a burnout, and it's time for you to just pause yourself and try to figure out what's going on. Why are you just exceeding yourself so much? Because that's what happens when we're going through burnouts. We're just exceeding ourselves so much. We're trying to do so much, and we're trying to fill in the gaps and shoes for everybody else but ourselves. We're always saying yes, 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 or always trying to do more than what you should. Or I would say always trying to be so extra. Like sometimes we just gotta stop trying to be so extra and just take a pause. Just sit back. Let everybody else do the extra stuff. Just sit back, pause yourself, and just look around. Talk to yourself if you have to, and say, what's going on with me? Like, why am I doing all this? Why am I just trying to be so extra or do so much? You owe it to yourself to rest and pause. You don't need to have a breakdown to be able to reset. You don't have to get feeling emotionally sick to be able to get rest. We have to be able to say, we're worth it. We need it. If you need rest, get it. You can do it. We don't have to be extra and continue to always want to fill everybody else's gaps. Make everybody else happy and, always be the one in charge of everything. Just so that we feel as though we're doing what we need to do, or we're making sure that we're making someone else happy, or we just want to make sure that we're always in everything. You don't need to do that. That's just stuff that if you continue to do that and you continue to want to do in certain situations and be the one always doing the extra stuff or trying to always fill in that gap for everybody else, make everybody else happy, you're just going to burn yourself out. Everybody else is going to be okay. You're going to be all burnt out, all exhausted, can't even content with yourself, can't even get your thoughts together to get a full night's sleep. That's what I'm calling burnout. And the reason for this podcast today is because I had someone that came to me, and me, we were talking, and I just thought it was important. I said, well, if she was trying to figure this out, I'm sure there's many other people that are trying to figure this out also, trying to weigh it up, weigh and see what's going on with themselves. Why are they feeling this way? Because sometimes when you're in this predicament and you're going through these emotions, you don't understand them. Some people might, that are used to going through these in and out of these emotions, they might understand what their body is going through physically and mentally. But then you have these newcomers that are just starting out with these mental illnesses or these addictions. They don't understand these different emotions. They don't understand why their body is feeling this way, or why they're waking up and they feel as though they don't want to do nothing today, and no matter what they're doing, they're still not getting to where they need to get to, physically, emotionally. And I feel as though that, she came to me, and she's been dealing with these emotions for years, and she still just couldn't differentiate, both of them. Like she said, you're asking me if I'm having a bad day or a burnout, and she said, I don't even know how to answer that, Jeannie, because I don't understand it. She said, I just feel as though sometimes I wake up and I don't want to be bothered. Like, I ask myself if it's a burnout or if it's a bad day. And I said, well, that's why you need to. I mean, you need to find out what's going on with you. Like, you don't want to continue to wake up, because if you're going through this and your emotions are feeling like this over and over and over, not just a 1 day or 2 days or a 3 day thing, but you're going through these feelings over and over for days and for weeks, there's definitely something wrong. You know, like I said, a bad day is a short-term thing. A bad day every day for weeks and months, that's not a bad day. You know, you might think that's what it is because you don't know how to differentiate from a burnout and a bad day. But I'm telling you today, if you're having these emotions and you're having them short-term, couple of hours, 1 or 2 days, that's okay. You had a couple of bad days. But if you're having these emotions for weeks and for months, it's not a bad day. It's a burnout. And there's different levels of burnout. You can have a burnout and reset yourself with different things. Would it be talking to someone, doing exercise, getting more, you know, in contact with other people, doing more things with individuals instead of always being on your own, isolating yourself. Sometimes you'll come around. And you'll get yourself rested, and you'll get the rest that you need, and you'll pause, and you'll do what you need to do. And then you have other burnouts that some people just been building and building and building this burnout for months and months, and their body is just about to collapse because their burnout has just been growing and building and building and building, and they just been keeping this in them for months. That's a really, really unhealthy burnout. And I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that. That's very unhealthy because then you're putting your body, your organs, and everything in jeopardy. A burnout can cause a lot. It can cause you to have a breakdown. A burnout can cause you to become sick. A burnout can cause you to just really disconnect yourself from life in general, and cause a lot of downfalls. So that's what I'm saying. If you're feeling like this, it's really important to really find out what is going on with you. Is it a bad day or a burnout? Because if it's a burnout, you definitely need to pause before it gets too bad. And, you know, pause and figure it out and see if getting some rest. Talking about it, just changing your habits helps. Try that for a little bit. Try little steps, and see if that helps. If it doesn't help you, then you definitely need to talk to someone professional, you know, or talk to a loved one and see if they can help you get the help that you need with this burnout. You know, nothing is forever, but when it comes to a burnout, you don't want it to continue over and over for a long, long period of time, because our bodies can only take us so much before it snaps, you know, before we have a breakdown, before everything just starts collapsing on us. And we just want to be able to at least get a hold our emotions, what we're going through, that burnout that we're dealing with, get that and tie it in before it gets too bad, before it turns into stronger and stronger and stronger, and it starts breaking down our bodies within. And like I said, I know a lot of times it's hard for us to really understand what our bodies are going through, you know, or what we're going through emotionally. It's kind of hard sometimes, especially for individuals that are doing everything on their own. I know that's kind of hard because you really don't have no one to talk it out with to make it make sense, you know, or you just don't know how to really put it together for yourself to make it make sense. And I get it, because like I said, I deal with individuals on a daily basis. I deal with my community on a daily basis, and these are things that are coming up on a daily basis. And I get it, and I understand where you're coming from. If you're listening and you're going through these emotions, I understand what you're saying when you say you don't know what to do. You don't know how to make it make sense for yourself. And that's when I'm going to come in place and say, if you have someone that you feel safe with, or you know someone that you can talk to that's going to be able to help you, then please do it. Because you want to make sure that you get a hold of this burnout before it gets too bad on you. So that you can either talk it out with someone where they can say, okay, you need some rest, I'll do some things for you while you get your rest, or we can figure this out, maybe doing A, B, and C together to see if this is going to help you. Or you need to pick up the line, pick up the phone, get online, use your research, figure out who you can call maybe in your community, or go online and figure out organizations that can help you. And our organization is one, but like I always said, you don't have to always just use us. It's not about me, it's not about my organization, but we are here if you need us. You can go right on our website. We have downloads that you can read. Like I said, you want to be anonymous, you can. We have 24/7 hotline. We have a 24/7 chat box, an email, whatever it is, you will get hold of us if you need to talk to someone. Or you can just go on our site and download something that's going to help you when you're feeling like this, or maybe help you now on a process that you can do little things every day to see if you can get your body back in tune and rested, and hopefully get away from this burnout. If that's what you're going through, only you know exactly what your body is going through. And me, hopefully, if you're listening to me today, and hopefully these little examples that I gave you, you can differentiate, what is a bad day versus a burnout. Putting them two things together. And if for some reason I really didn't answer your question, or you really still don't understand the difference from a bad day or a burnout, even after the explanations that I just gave, please feel free to reach out to us. We would definitely put something together for you and send it out to you so that you can read it at your own pace and really understand it at your own pace. Because I know sometimes some people can't really grasp stuff quick when people are talking to them. But most of them, if they look at it and they read it a couple of times, they can come together and really wrap their head around certain things that they're trying to figure out. So if that is you, just reach out to us. We will get something together for you and send it out to you via email so that you can go ahead and really read it at your pace and wrap your head around it so that you can figure out how to overcome this burnout. Because, like I said, nothing is forever. The only thing with a burnout is going to last a little longer than a bad day. But you'll be able to get yourself together as long as you take these little steps and you understand exactly how you can help yourself from a burnout. Once we're there, I get it. I understand it. Once you're burnt out, you're burnt out. And that's probably what a lot of people are saying right now as they're listening to me. Well, I'm already burnt out. I get it. But you can still help yourself from reset. You can help yourself reset again and get away from the burnout little by little, and you can get your body back where you need it to be. You can reset yourself. We all can. We all have, times when we overwork ourselves, but then that's when the pause comes in and we get ourselves back together. And that's exactly what I'm saying to you. That's exactly what you can do. It doesn't matter how bad your burnout is. You just need to do these steps little by little every day and get yourself reset, re-rested, to be able to get yourself back on track and away from feeling burnt out all the time. Feeling emotionally drained, mentally drained. We can all come back from that. We just need to know how to reset ourselves and be able to calm our nerve system back down to feel rejuvenated again, feel like you're full of life again. It takes time, but you can do it. Some people say, well, I got to sleep 12 hours to really feel rested for the next day. It happens. Not everybody feels as though 8 hours is good for them. Some people say they sleep 3 or 5 hours and that's good enough for them. So everybody is different. And that's why I'm saying that your burnout is going to be different from anyone else's. only you know what can help you, whether it is helping with someone, talking to someone to help you, or maybe it is getting a longer rest. Maybe it is that you need to exercise more. Maybe it is you need to change your eating habits. A lot comes in place, but only us as individuals, we're the only ones that know our bodies. And we're the only ones that would know, why are we burnt out? What are we overwhelming ourselves with? You need to get to the root of that. Oh, what happened? Like, how did you get to this point? And if for some reason you still can't understand how this happened, then, talk to someone. Try to put the pieces together, because you have to find out first the root of how you became overwhelmed, or what are you doing to make yourself feel overwhelmed that's causing this burnout. So then you can start doing what you need to do, opposite from what you've been doing that burnt you out, so that you can reset yourself. And if you're a caregiver and you're seeing this, you're not the actual person that's dealing with this, but you're seeing this in someone else. But they're telling you, no, I'm good. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. I just need some rest. But that rest is like longer and longer every day. They're isolating themselves more and more every day. They don't want to do much anymore, and they just continue to tell you, oh, no, I'm good. I'm just tired. Maybe you can sit down with them and, ask them, is there anything you can do for them? Maybe take some stuff off their plate, whatever. Maybe they have really a lot going on in their life. Maybe you can ask them, can you help them out with a couple things that's going on in their life? Maybe it's a single mother with a couple kids, and she's got a lot going on, and it's just overwhelming her. Maybe you can step in and help her out with that. Help her out with the kids. Maybe take the kids out, let her get some rest. If it's just a loved one, maybe it's your partner that you're seeing burnt out, and you're not understanding that. You're not know if maybe it's work. Work. Sometimes it's just life in general. It's just things that is thrown at us, and it just becomes stress, and then stress becomes burnout. If it's something like that, just figure it out, how you can help that person. Because sometimes they just need help. Sometimes they just need someone to give them that extra hand, to take some of this pressure off of them that they're dealing with on a daily basis, so that they can go ahead and reset themselves and try to get back from that burnout, that overwhelming in their life, that stress that's just building up because of certain things they can't, really figure out in life. Sometimes they just need a second hand, a second eye, second ears, to really help them out. And if that is you out there and you're the caregiver, or you just know someone that is going through this, but it's not actually you, step in, help this person out, Just let them know you're there for them, because this is real. A burnout is real. Emotions, being exhausted, just being emotionally exhausted, that is real. And it can just do a lot of damage to them, if it continues over and over for a long period of time. So that's why you want to step in and just help this individual out if you can. And if it's way too far out where you don't feel as though that just you helping them is going to really make the change that they need, then help them get the help that they need. Help them get the professional help that they need, so they can go ahead and heal from this being burnt out. Because this is also a healing that they need to come from. Being burnt out, whether it's emotionally burnt out, physically and mentally burnt out, they'll still have to heal from this to be able to reset themselves. So, if you see as though that you can't do it, just talking with a loved one, or just incorporating different things to do on a daily basis, then get the professional help that you need so that you can heal from this burnout and really, really get yourself where you need to be physically, emotionally. Because, sometimes that's what it takes to be able to even come back from a burnout. Like I said, everyone's different. Some people don't let it go too long. They bring it in and they get the help that they need, or they incorporate daily things to really reset themselves. And then you have some people that just keep brushing it off every day, thinking it's a bad day, but these bad days continue to grow and grow and grow. And when they eventually do get the help, or they want the help, or they realize what's going on with them, it's really, really been lingering for too long, where they really need to heal from it. Not just try to learn the plan on how to get away from it and rebuild themselves, but they also will have to heal and then rebuild. So there will be a process in that also. So just, be patient with yourself. Be patient with a loved one or someone that you know that might be going through this burnout. Just try to, really come together and help each other out so that you can heal from this and reset your body. You need to reset your mind, body, and soul when it comes to a really severe burnout, which a lot of us wind up in that, because by the time we realize that we're in this burnout, it's really taken so much. It's really almost controlled us so deep that it's going to be hard to climb back out. It's not going to happen overnight. We're going to need to figure out how we're going to heal from it, And like I said, it might be speaking to a professional. It might be just journaling in your book more. It might just be interacting in more activities that help you get out more. Maybe just getting someone to help you with a lot of things that maybe you're dealing with in life. Maybe some stressful situations that maybe you can bring someone on, a loved one, to help you, let them know you need help, whether it's with your kids, whether it's just some stress that you're overwhelmed with right now that you can't figure out, some situations in life that, they've been brought upon you and you just don't know what to do about them, because those things happen in life. We get triggers, we get news that maybe we might have heard something, or someone might have just told us something, or we might have just figured out something that's going to happen with us in general, and we can't deal with it. We overwhelm ourselves. We're thinking too fast instead of just pausing with ourselves and figuring out what we need to do, to be able to heal from this, from feeling burnt out. That is the first step, is figuring out the root of what happened and what are you doing that you're overwhelming yourself and you're burning yourself out. And then the second step is to speak with someone. If it is just some type of help that you need at home, or some type of content, like maybe you just need to really speak to someone, whether it's a loved one or a professional, to really start figuring out the healing process. Do that. If it's just because you've given up on activities, start doing your activities again, whatever it is that you were doing, whether it was exercising, taking a walk, journaling, coloring, art, whatever it is that you normally were doing in life, before you started overwhelming yourself with these other situations. Start incorporating them back into your daily routine, little by little, until you feel comfortable again on doing them on a daily basis, or however it was that you were doing them. But the most important thing is just to start figuring out, why you're overwhelming yourself. And what is it that you're doing that you're overwhelming yourself? Because you're going to need to pause yourself from that. If it is that you're doing too much, you're trying to fill in the gaps for someone else, then you're going to need to pause yourself from always wanting to do for this other individual. You're going to need to pause yourself from always saying yes. You're going to need to pause yourself from always jumping to answer a text. You're going to need to pause yourself from always answering that email like right off the bat. You're going to need to pause yourself from wanting to always be everywhere else that everyone else is going or doing. You're going to need to pause with yourself and figure out how you can bring yourself back. How could you reset yourself so that you're no longer overwhelming yourself, no longer burning yourself out. But only you can figure this out, because I can sit here and tell you different things. You can talk to someone else and they can tell you what they think it might be. But only you can really sit back and really try to figure out the root of what happened, or what it is that you're doing that's putting you in this overwhelmed burnout situation. And once you figure that out, you need to get to the next step, and that is figuring out the healing part of it. How can you do that? And reach out and do it. Whether it's just incorporating in stuff, talking to someone, you need to do it. But you need to stay consistent. And you need to learn how to pause yourself. You know, like I've always said, breathe. I mean, breathe all this in and out. Like, inhale all the good stuff, you know? Inhale all the good vibes. Reset yourself. And then exhale everything that you don't need in your life. You know, it might be, you know, you probably say, oh, it's really simple for you to say, but it's not that easy for someone to do. And I get it. But you know what? In life, sometimes we just really got to grab ourselves and talk to ourselves and say, wait a minute, what am I doing? Like, you know, told you plenty of times, I'll say to myself, like, Jeannie, come on, girl, what are you doing? Like, it's not that serious. And that's what you got to do sometimes. Just talk to yourself and say, what are you doing? You know, it's too much. If it's too much for me, I'm not doing it no more. And that's what you got to say. You know, you got to learn how to put up that border. You know, no longer letting them come through your boundaries. You know, if you have to say no, you say no. If you have to slow yourself down, slow yourself down. You don't have to be at every event or every party or every invite that someone's saying. You don't have to go to every last one of them. You go to the ones that you want to go to. You know, don't overdo yourself. You know, you have to sit down and be rested for yourself. You know, you got to take care of yourself physically, emotionally, mentally. You got to heal within and be healthy. You know, and it's hard for some people to really understand that we have to become healthy within ourselves. You know, we have to take care of ourselves before we can go ahead and try to fill everyone else's shoes up. You know, keep this person happy, keep this person smiling, you know, or keep that person from being mad at me because I said, no, I don't want to go out tonight with you, or no, I don't want to go to that place where you're going, or no, I can't watch your kids for you today, or no, I can't really do that for you no more. You know, you can't be worrying about what other people are thinking. You can't be worrying about what that other person is going to say or do. The only person that you can control is yourself. And that's the only person that should be the main concern right now to you is you. So that you can get away from this overwhelming and you can get away from this burnout. You know, reset yourself, pause yourself. Get healthy. And then, you know, go do what you want to do. But at your terms, at your time, when you want. Not when someone else wants. And I really hope that, you know, someone listening today is really resonating with these emotions, with this, you know, situations that I told you that really come with feeling overwhelmed or burnt out. Because like I said, I was talking to an individual this morning, and she just was all over the place emotionally. You know, she has her good days and she has her bad days. But today, it was a bad day. You know, it wasn't a burnout, it was a bad day. And she just couldn't tell me what it was. Like I said, do you think you're burnt out or you're having a bad day? You know, and she just couldn't figure it out. Because all these years that she's had these emotions come in and out of her life, out of her mind, out of her body, she just never said it was, you know, to herself, whether it was a burnout or a bad day. She just never did. You know, and I get it. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way. Like, you don't think about it. You know, you just go through your emotions, but you don't really think, you know, why you're going through these emotions. You know, and it's human. You're a human being. We're humans. Sometimes we really listen to our bodies and what we're going through, and sometimes we don't. It's like I said, most of the time we're our own enemy. You know, we're our worst enemy because we don't put the time that we need to into ourselves. You know, we don't take care of ourselves the way we should, but we expect others to do it, you know. And that's where I said it's really important that you take care of yourself first. It's really important for you to understand your body, understand what you're going through. Try to get to the root of what the situation is so that you can bring it up to someone else but understanding what you're dealing with so that you can explain it to someone and they'll be able to understand it and help you. Because I had to tell her, like, what do you mean that you don't understand if it's a burnout or a bad day? Like, explain yourself to me. And she said, I just don't, Jeannie. Like, what do you want me to tell you? I just don't. And I said, okay, then tell me what you're feeling. And she gave me the scenario what she's going through, what she was feeling yesterday, what she was feeling today. And we walked through it. We walked through it, and I told her a couple things to do, which I told her, I asked her, did you get rest? Did you do something yesterday that really took a lot of your time? Did you get news? Did you drink a lot of caffeine? What did you do? So she walked me through it, and, I said, okay, then try it out, and then give me a call like in 3 hours after you get your rest and you eat your lunch, and let's figure it out. So she did call me back. I was doing some things, but I called her back, and when I spoke to her, she said, you know what, it must have been. She said, now I understand it. I was just having a bad day. She said, because I went and I got 2 hours of sleep. And she said, I went and got a smoothie with protein and all this other stuff. She told me all this other stuff she got in her smoothie. And she said, I feel good. She said, I feel better. She said, I feel really, really energized. She said, it had to be that. Had to been a bad day. So at least now she'll know when she's feeling these different emotions, she's going to try to figure it out. She's going to try what she did today. And if that don't work, then she's going to know it's a burnout. So when I ask her this again and she brings this up again, she's going to be able to tell me whether it's a burnout or a bad day. So, I'm just trying to say is that sometimes talking stuff out will help you understand things more. Because she didn't understand this for years. And she's been having these emotions come in and out of her life for years, and she just never even put thought to it. Like she did today after she questioned me about it, after she called me and I talked to her about it. And I don't know what you're saying, Jeannie. I don't know how to explain it. And I went through the whole process with her, and she did as I told her to do. And she tried it out, and she figured it out. So sometimes, just talking stuff out with somebody else will help you out. Will help you figure stuff out better, or just help you figure out stuff in general that you really never even thought about. So that's why I said sometimes it just really is important to just reach out to someone, when you're going through different emotions or situations that you're not understanding. Sometimes, I always say to people, you don't have to always figure everything out on your own. You always going to have somebody out there that you can talk to. You don't have to go through this by yourself. You don't have to. Just call somebody that you trust. Or just look over. If they're next to you and you know that you can trust this person, you feel safe with them, just talk it out. Ask them, what do they think? Like, oh, I'm going through this. What do you think? Maybe they went through something like that too and say, oh, look, I tried this or I tried that. I'm just saying that sometimes talking stuff out with other people will help you out. It's not just talking it out with anybody. Because, oh, well, I don't want nobody knowing what I'm going through. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying talk it out with somebody that you feel comfortable talking it out with. You can both try to weigh it out and figure things out together. And if you can't, then you need to get, both of you find out a way that you can get help and everyone can get healthy together and figure it out. Because you are going to need to heal from it. Like I said, hoping that this really helps somebody. If it is helping you, anything that I'm talking about on this podcast, let me know. If you need to hear about something that you're trying to figure out, send me a message. I know my throat's a little dry today, people. I've been screaming out all day today with my grandkids outside in the pool. So be patient with me today too. But if it's anything that you need to know that you're still not getting answers on, please just reach out. I'll get something out to you, or jump on a call with you, or someone from my team will, to go over whatever it is that you're trying to figure out. We're in this together. And like I said, whether you're the individual that's going through it or a caregiver, we're here for you. And if we can't help you, we're going to find someone that can. And we're going to make sure that you get the help and the healing that you need, whether it's with us or someone else. We will get you that help. That's for sure. Because no one needs to be going through this by themselves, or need to even be stressing themselves out even more, or burning themselves out even more. You know, there's always someone out there that's going to give you that hand. There's always going to be someone out there that wants to help you. And I'm sure there's someone near you now that really does want to do that for you. You just have to open up and reach out to them. If you've been listening to me, following me, whether it's on my podcast or it's been out on social media, then you know that this is something that I really, really mean from the bottom of my heart. This is a cause that I'm supporting 200%, whether it's mental health or drug and addiction. I'm in it 200%. My team is in it 200%. We're here for you. We're here to help you. I'm not asking nothing from you. I don't want nothing from you. I just want you to show up for yourself and start healing. If you're dealing with mental illness or you're dealing with an addiction and you need help, reach out to us. That's what we're here for. We are going to walk you through the journey that you need to get healing. If we can't help you, we're going to definitely get you the help that you need. If you're a caregiver and you're not understanding how to do this, or you're just so overwhelmed with it, you're burnt out with this, reach out to us. We will help you out. We will give you the support that you need so that you can continue to support that individual, that loved one, because it's very important that you never give up on them. So reach out to us. We will help you on your journey also as a caregiver. Also, no matter how big my team is, and I say this over and over, we can never have enough people, because we provide our services, our tools and resources are available worldwide. We don't turn anyone down. We don't brush anyone off. So even if you're in Japan and you need my help right now, you're going to get it. We're available to you worldwide. And yes, I do have a team in place. I will always have a team in place. But if I can make this movement bigger, that would be my goal. So if you want to volunteer your services and your heart is in this 200% to support mental illness, to support drug and addiction, or any kind of addiction, please reach out to us. If you're a licensed counselor, if you're a licensed therapist, if you're a licensed drug and addiction counselor or therapist, or you just want to help out with advocating, or you want to help out with our events, please reach out to us, because we can never ever have enough people with us in this movement. You know, by the second, we're losing people to over-medicating themselves with mental illness, or just mental illness in general. We're losing them second by second. You know, drug and addiction, we're losing them second by second to OD and to comas. We're just losing them. You know, and this is something that's not going to stop. This is something that we can't put a Band-Aid on and brush it off and not read the news no more, or just don't look into that information anymore and you think it's going to go away. It's not going to go nowhere. It's going to get worse and worse, because we're losing them second by second. And that's the reason why I opened up and started this podcast. That's the reason why I started my business, is to hopefully be able to just reach my arms out to everybody and help them. But reality is, I'm not going to be able to help everyone, because that's just life. But even if I can get this movement stronger and bigger and just help that one more person, that's all it takes. You know, helping them one at a time. So even if you're across the world and not in my community, and you want to volunteer your time, reach out to us. Let's make this movement stronger. You know, forward our podcast if you know someone needs it. Follow us on social media and forward our posts. Go on our website, send out that link. You know, download some of the information that we have on our website for maybe someone that needs it, or if it's you personally that need it, use it. Reach out to us. Let us help you heal. And again, I want to thank everyone for supporting us, helping us, walking by us, walking beside us, side to side on this journey, on this movement. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. This really means a lot to me. No matter how small your push is a push, and that's all that matters. It doesn't matter whether you're just getting on there and pushing us on social media, or you're just picking up the call and you're calling me, or you're just giving me some insight. It's a push. You're joining us. You're coming into our community. That's important. You're trying to help just like me. That's important. And again, like I said, there's no competition. If you're doing the same thing that I'm doing, I'm not here to compete against no one, because I don't want nothing from no one. It's not about us. It's about them. And I don't care about anything else but helping them. And that's where I'm at. If that's where you're at, reach out to us. And with that said, I just, like always, my statement, it's so important that people understand that it's okay to not be okay. Okay? And really grasp that. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay. But what's not okay is to think that you have to, anybody has to, struggle in the dark, in silence, alone, with this pain, with this trigger, with these addictions, with these emotions. Never. Get the help that you need. Reach out. Reach out to us. Reach out to someone that you feel safe with, and start healing. Thank you again for everything. Hopefully we'll see you at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Or maybe I'll see you today at 8 o'clock at our yoga session. Thank you, and stay safe.